Well, we're in South America in southern Chile. We're at El Chucao Lodge on Lago Yelcho, and we've been fishing all week, doing kind of the same things we've always been doing with our lines and testing out new places. And we wanted to come down here and see what our lines were capable of in real trout situations.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
We wanted to do the full range of things down here, as far as lakes, big rivers, sight fishing, small dries, and throwing big streamers for trout. And I think we accomplished the majority of that for sure. And one thing we found about the fish here is that they're incredibly strong. Every fish here is incredibly strong. The small rainbows that we were catching on little small dries, cripples, spinners, puyes, the whole deal. It was a really quality experience. And if you look at the color of the lake and how deep it is here, these fish have taken on the character of the lake.
This thing looked like it just came out of the ocean. Look at it.
They look almost chrome. If you'll see them in our shots, they're almost chrome, and the way they fight is they're super strong. It was tough not to break 4X.
Get some. Wow. Beautiful. Dude, it's like rainbows are supposed to. They jump. Nice. This is the anti-suck. I got the drag cranked down too, man. It looks like a coho. Look at how chrome that thing is, man.
It was a really good week, and we had great guides here and incredible accommodation, and I think we will be back for sure. We don't get to do a whole lot of dry fly fishing, and so we strung up our 9'5" weights with floating heads and standard leaders. And also you got to factor in Patagonia wind, and that was the coolest part about our lines, is the fact that again, our lines cut wind like butter. And for casting large Chernobyls or these Cantaria beetles, or if you're just ripping streamers to the bank and ripping them out and then coming back once and getting right back in there, I think it was perfect. Casting out of the boat, same thing. We did a lot of fishing out of the boat. That's one thing you would experience here is, for example, Lago Yelcho is a really big lake, and you got to be able to cast out of the boat. You're casting dragonfly patterns, puyes. That was the coolest thing I think we saw all week, is the puyes, which is a really small fish. Looks like a little bait fish, but the trout love them. I mean, you'll see the trout in their natural state going after those puyes, and it's
increíble.
You can tell why these fish are so strong. Our lines are still amazing us. With every trip we do, every different kind of fishing we experience, our lines are showing us new things every time. and we're very pleased. How we throw streamers down here, or how I used to like to throw streamers down here when I guided here, was we're throwing short sink tips or dry lines, but short sink tip, leader, and then we've got these tungsten worm weights that we're throwing right in front of our big leech patterns, and we're still being able to roll them over. I was fishing a 9'5" weight. I fished a 9'5" weight all week, and I was rolling a tungsten cone head on all my leeches. And the tungsten is going to give you more weight for your cast going forward. It's also going to give more drop, because how these rivers are contoured is there's a bunch of logs and structure, boulders that you got to get in and out, and the worm weight gives pop and drop to all your flies, more motion, more action, and allows you to get in the logs and being able to bring it out of the logs, with a lot of action, and then being able to get right back in there and not wasting time. I believe that we get to put in a lot more presentations than the majority of lines, just because we're not wasting time, because we're right back in there. Not a whole lot of false casting. I mean, it's one and done, or you just rip and do your sustained anchor and you're right back in there. Depending on the wind, you always have to factor in the wind here, because it's going to be coming one way or the other, and you just got to make sure, just like in any fisherman, you're not going to whack your buddy or your guide or in the boat, because you guys are all in close quarters. I think with any system, it takes some practice, but I was casting a size 18, just mayfly cripple, or a rusty spinner, in those little back eddies where you really want a delicate presentation, and it can be done. I found if I came up here and hit it and stopped it high and then dropped it in there nice, it worked out perfectly. And we're doing, with the dry lines, 9 to maybe 12-foot leaders, depending on the situation. We're going super small with the little dry flies, and then with the Chernobyls, we're throwing rope. And throwing rope meaning we're throwing heavier monofilament, so you can turn Chernobyls over really easy, and in the windy situations and casting big dries, small leader isn't a big factor, because those fish are looking at that big dry fly. They're not sitting there underneath like studying it, so it worked out great. We put our lines through a lot of different situations this week, and I'm very pleased. We're still coming out really good.